really testing this here.
I know. Then she gives us
Hold on.
Oh, okay.
You're going to be on. Hey, you swatted him. Swatted. I want to get him on. Okay. All right, I call the Budget and Finance Committee to order. Any discussion from any of the members? No? Hearing none. Corey Nellis from the Soil and Water is here to give us a report.
We have just a quick handout here. I'm Corey Nellis with Montgomery County Soil and Water. A lot of you guys know me. New legislators I haven't been introduced to. I didn't bring an extra one, but
That's fine.
Well, like my
No.
You sure? We can share.
So 2014 was a pretty busy year for us. I want to thank the legislators for supporting our budget request for $104,500 for 2015. In the past, we've always had a lot of support from the board here, and I think we worked really hard in Montgomery County to, make sure that all the needs are being met from our constituents, whether they're farmers, municipal people, or working for just basic landowners. So this right here gives you a quick list of some of the programs that we've applied for. One is the New York State Ag Non-Point Source. That's probably where the most of our money comes from. And what that is, that program is money that we apply to New York State for through a grant process to bring money directly to our dairy farmers or beef farmers or whichever farm we happen to be working with. This year we brought in just about $800,000 through the Ag Non-Point Source program. Through Ag Environmental Management, that's where we do our planning. We have, with that money, we hire a planner and an assistant planner to come in and work with the farmers to do nutrient management plans, manure management plans, and things of that nature, directly to benefit the farm. This year, there was a soil health grant, and with that grant, we were awarded $25,000 to buy a no-till seeder. So next year, we'll be buying a no-till seeder probably in January, and then any farmers in the county that want to plant grass or anything like that through a no-till process will be able to do that without plowing up their fields, hopefully to save erosion. The NRCS contribution agreement, we work with the Natural Resource Conservation Service, that's the USDA agency, it's a sister agency that's in our office. And we do a lot of work with Tom Bielli, and NRCS reimbursed us for that work. So 2014, we signed an agreement for $11,000. The USDA, we have the EQIP program, that's the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, and with that program, it offsets some of the costs to the farmers. $800,000 is typically a 75% cost share, so the farmer contributes 25%. We also try to marry that up with the EQIP program, which is through USDA, and that offsets some of the farmer costs on some of the projects that he does. And then there's a conservation security program, that's $242,000. So I'd say, from a budgetary standpoint, I think we always, I don't know that we've come in under $1 million in a long time. But I think we had a really successful year this year with a total of about $1.3 million. So one of the major reasons I want to come, one is to let you know what we're doing and to introduce myself to the board, of course. But the other thing is Mohawk River Watershed, first bullet point there. About 4 years ago, Montgomery County, the Soil and Water Office applied for a grant to do a watershed study. That watershed study was funded. We needed a municipal sponsor. Montgomery County took the reins on that and became a municipal sponsor for that. The project is just about done. It was a $750,000 contract. We will have funded all of that money. Now maybe just a little bit over that $750,000 benchmark. The Mohawk River Watershed Plan is available for review online right now, and it's going to have we did do some public outreach, and we did invite the board to our meeting in Schenectady County Community College. I didn't see any legislators there, but that was an opportunity to go out and see the plan before it was finalized and printed. So one of the hopes there, we did have a CFA, and I did contact Matt, talked about the CFA and the opportunities that are available to Mohawk River watershed. Unfortunately, Montgomery County didn't put in any grants for this year. There were some individual municipalities like Amsterdam that did apply for the CFA, but it is important to remember the watershed is out there. Mohawk River Watershed Committee is there. So and what we did in February of last year was we married on with Oneida County and Montgomery County, and we were awarded a very large contract, and Montgomery County took the lead on that one. So with any watershed-wide group that we grant application we put together, we do have to find one of the counties to be a municipal sponsor, and they're going to do a watershed study for the Montgomery Creek from the mouth of the Mohawk up to Gilboa. So there's a couple, I think it's about $330,000. And Oneida County put in one of their projects for $300,000. And then there was another project in Saratoga County on that for about $100,000. So what we did was took 3 smaller projects that might not have looked as great independently and married them together, and we had a real strong grant application. So, it's one of those things that we have an opportunity with the Mohawk River Watershed Coalition that if there's a smaller project you think may not be as, rank as high, that we can look into doing this on a river watershed basis. So. Economic development, Missy is our economic development coordinator. The county does give us money for the economic development program. I think we've had a lot of success in that program. Missy's been working with that. We got a bee farm in the county looking for a farm. She contacted a couple of realtors, found a farm, introduced them to the realtor, introduced her to the landowner. Worked with a person that came in, wants to make goat cheese. Take them up, show them the goat. We've got a goat cheese facility right here in Fonda, 10 foot. Took them up there, and then we took them down to Schoharie County. So as these people independently come in and they want to start their operations, Missy's been a great resource to grab these guys. They know it's nice because everybody knows to call the soil and water office when you got one of these, things that show up, pop up. People want a little bit of help and want to bring in some agriculture into Montgomery County. They all know they get a hold of Missy, and she got a really great connection out there. So I'm really happy with our economic development program. Drought protection. Now, one of the things, we were in a drought through the 90s, and we ended up getting pumped through the emergency management, CMO. And we've had 3 farms come in from Montgomery County and pump water. It used to be that the farmers would come to the county and ask the county to, rent a truck and haul water to the farms and protect the farms with, haul private water. Now they just come to my office, grab the pump, grab the pipe, and we move water from pond to pond, about probably 3 to 4 million gallons this year. So it's one of those things that we just do, and you guys don't really hear about it anymore. It cost the county, they were doing $50,000 to $70,000 every other year through the 90s, and we came up with this idea. We never owned our own pump, now we do. But we used to get it from CMO, and it was nice to have that there. When a farmer runs out of water, they don't just come into the office, knock on the door, and take the equipment and get things set up, and within a couple hours they got water back in the property. So, and you might not think we had a drought this year, but we've had one of the driest falls in I think we said about 80 years. So definitely a dry fall, very nice for harvest, but it does. Put a little bit of stress on the dairy farmers. We do use a lot of water. And our Ag Environmental Management Program, like I said, Christine, I alluded to that, up to $85,000. She's our planner. Missy's also our assistant planner. So Missy's our AD, and she fills two roles over there, soil and water. One of the things we work hard at is trying to make it, I think when I met with Matt the first time, he said, you guys do all this, you bring in $1.3 million, you only charge the county $1 million. Or $100,000. $100,000. Well, I might not have bragged about $1 million, but I think one of the things that we've always tried to do is we have the tree and shrub program, the fish program. There's a lot of things that we have the tile program over there, it's all over the drainage products. We work really hard to, with the, whether it's a perk test or it's doing a tree program, these are things that people come in and specifically want this, so we, earn money, and it's that customer that comes in, so if they need tile and pipe. We only sell really to contractors, typically, or farmers. We don't go to the general public or, those kind of things, but I think, we do strive to make sure that we put as little stress on the taxpayer as possible. And I think, as you can see from our budget, how much money we try to bring in, and then what we ask the county for, I think, kind of speaks for itself, I hope. And conservation easements, this year, the New York State did give us the ability to hold conservation easements now. Montgomery County struggled with two, I think it was Logan Beach, that had conservation easements that we couldn't get a party to sign on and take over that easement. I think the county may have had to sign on and do them themselves, which puts the county in a long-term program with these easements. So Montgomery County, our soil and water across the state now are going to be able to hold these easements. So if a corporation comes in and they want to build something, they got to dedicate or donate so many acres or dollars. The conservation district can now obtain these easements, and we don't have to go to outside the county. We did search to try to find these company or who these easements for us. The districts have been lobbying in Albany for a few years to get that done. So that's all I got. I said I could do this in like 5 minutes, but I'm never very good at 5 minutes. So.
Any questions?
I just wanted to say it's a pleasure when you come here. Your whole department does an excellent job. Everyone on your staff does. And I thank you very much, and please tell Missy she does as well. Thank you so much.
Sure.
I actually was going to say the same thing. You have a very lean budget. You don't ask much from the county, but you do a heck of a lot of work. And so I want to congratulate you and your staff. You do a heck of a job.
Anybody else?
I had a question about your watershed program. Is that to prevent farmland from being flooded or to irrigate?
No, the Mohawk River Watershed Coalition is not an agriculturally based program.
Okay.
It was the Mohawk River Watershed is the only watershed in the state that did not have a watershed study done, and they were trying to get somebody to get the Mohawk River done, and Amanda was my planner, said why don't we go after it, and we secured the funds. And the premise was she was going to do a lot of the planning work, and we were going to take a lot of administrative money, and we ended up hiring an administrator because she took another job. But all that aside, this is really nothing to do with an agriculture. It's everything to do with municipalities. Municipalities are the only ones that can apply for that money. So what we do find is the districts are applying for a lot of that money, and then we come knocking on the municipality's door to sponsor the project. So they do everything from, like the Riverwalk in Amsterdam, those kind of projects, or waterfront revitalization. There's not really a lot of limitations in the program. So it's really not an agriculturally based program. It's just one that we spearheaded. And, we got the watershed plan done in Montgomery County. This was able to sponsor that. I mean, we asked the county to step up and, $750,000. And one of the thoughts I had was, boy, if this isn't successful, I may not have a job afterwards. It would have been as a cash layout of $350,000. So it was a big risk, but I think we got a good reward out of it too.
Any other questions for Corey? No?
Very good.
Thank you very much, Corey.
Thank you.
Thank you, Corey.
All right, moving on. We have a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget. I'll look for a sponsor and a second. Barb? Joe? Discussion? Yes? Terry?
I just have a question, what this is for.
I'll look to Paul or Matt, whichever one wants to field this.
It's just to transfer money that's in my budget under the bike path and recreation and put it in the full-time hour line.
Okay. Are you short in that line, or?
Yeah, I've got, yeah, because we didn't do as much work on the bike path, there's additional money there, and we're running short in the general maintenance line.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, I'm glad you asked that question, because I think this goes to what we've talked about time and time again with respect to explanations regarding these transfers. And earlier in the year, we talked about developing some kind of form so that we would have this information in advance. I mean, it's innocuous, but it's still, it would be nice to know how and why.
Any other questions? Wishes of the committee?
Full board.
All those opposed? All right, next resolution. A resolution authorizing county executive to sign renewal agreements with IQS. Barb? Look for a second. Terry? Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of moving full board?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, carried. Resolution establishing new rate of housing inmates. I'll look for a sponsor. Joe, second. Barb? Discussion.
Actually, this resolution, and actually Jackie and I had talked about this last week, but I see that it's really not changed. The further resolve should state that the new rate is hereby enacted at $90 per day effective January 1st, 2015. You can treat it as a typo, but the further resolve just states that the sheriff recommends it. It should actually be adopted in the form of a policy by the board.
Say that again,
The Montgomery County Legislature authorizes
Yeah.
the new rate to be set at.
Actually, the third line down should really be a whereas rather than a resolve. And then one resolved that would say, resolved that the daily rate is increased to $90, or the rate be increased to $90 per day effective January 1st, 2015. I can go over it with you later if you want.
Any other discussion, Terry?
Yes, I have one for the sheriff. I assume we can't go too high because we're actually in competition with the other jails for housing inmates. You know,
There's only one other jail around here that's housing inmates, that's Fulton County, and they're charging $90 a day.
Okay.
So if you go above that, chances are you could lose the board.
Okay.
In a typical year, how many inmates do we receive from Fulton County? Do we receive any, or?
On and off, maybe, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, like that. Not that many.
So they're close to being overfilled? No?
They're housing purposes right now.
There, okay. Any other discussion?
I'm not sure, could you explain Herkimer's situation?
Herkimer County Jail is very limited in what they can hold in Herkimer because the Commission of Corrections wants to build a new jail. They're having an ongoing problem over construction of that jail. It looks like it's going to be probably a couple of years before they might even build it. Since it's been about a year or so now that it's been ongoing with Herkimer County, maybe 2 years, and we've been housing their prisoners, their overflow prisoners in our jail, along with Fulton County and a couple other jails.
Meaning that Fulton County and the other jails have been housing Herkimer's,
Correct.
not so much that we bring in Fulton counties in, or all the jails are housing the Herkimer inmates.
Yes.
So that could dry up at some point too.
Probably in a couple of years.
Any other questions? Hearing none, wishes of the committee?
Full board.
Full board? Against? All right. Good to go. All right. Resolution approving abstract of audit claims. I'll look for a sponsor. Barb? second by Bob. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, carry. Next is the resolution appointing a member to the audit committee. Who would like to volunteer?
Bob was on for the rest of the year.
Yes,
This
but
is
with
for
January.
January.
We start all
I
over.
thought Bob was on the rest
Yeah.
of the year. Oh, yes.
You're used to going every week, you could just keep doing it.
Really not used to going.
Joe, you're willing for the month of January? All right. I'll look for a sponsor. Barb?
Second.
Terry? All those in favor of appointing Joe to the audit committee for the month of January
Aye.
2015? All right. Against? Abstain? So moved. Next is a resolution approving re-levy of delinquent school taxes, village taxes, water rents, and sewer taxes. I'll look for a sponsor. Barb, a second. Bob? Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor of moving the full board?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. We're good? All right. Now, under other, we have a few add-ons. The first is a resolution adopting introductory local law H of 2014, a local law establishing a motor vehicle use fee in Montgomery County. I'll look for a sponsor.
I'll sponsor.
A second.
Second.
Right. All right. Discussion. Barb.
There was discussion about separating out the fee money and allocating it for roads, roadways, and road structures. Is that still going to be, do you remember that, Duke?
Yes.
When we had the discussion?
We did have that discussion, yes.
In the law that is currently written before us, that's not in there. There were two laws that were written, and we decided to go with the shorter version because Doug said that we didn't need all that language. No reason for the fluff. So I have additional language to add for designating what those revenues will be used for, and it's as follows. Revenues resulting from the imposition of the tax authorized by this local law shall be paid to the Treasury of the County of Montgomery and shall be credited to and deposited in the Montgomery County General Fund. The net collections therefrom shall thereafter be allocated by the County Legislature of Montgomery and shall be used solely for the purpose of maintaining bridges and roads owned by Montgomery County. More specifically defined as, but not limited to, bridge repair and construction, and paving, reconstruction, and rebuilding of local roads, as well as drainage maintenance, ditching and culverting replacement, brush and tree maintenance, shoulder maintenance, roadside mowing, sign replacement, and repair, center and edge lines striping. Does that mean, cover everything?
I'm glad you took the fluff out.
It went from a 12-page to a 3-page. More discussion? Yes.
So just so I'm clear on how this is working, I guess also maybe clarify my reason to sponsor this resolution. The resolution is to create the local law to establish this fee. At that time, if that were to pass the board, the county executive would have the opportunity to veto. After that, if it passed through the county exec, comes the public comment section from the public. Am I on track?
No. There's a public hearing,
Backwards.
then
Public
Public hearing would be first.
Public hearing.
the executive signs.
The
Or
executive
vetoes.
would conduct it.
Executive will, the point I'm making is, I've heard a lot about this over the last 3 months. there's been a whole lot of discussion. And I've heard certain people talk about it, maybe on the radio or the public, but we've never had the opportunity for the public to come in front of us. So how do we know what they really think about it? So for me to put this up, it doesn't bother me to put it up, and I don't think wait a minute, let me backtrack. If the public,
This law won't take effect January 1st.
what I'm trying to get at is if after the public hearing, is there then another opportunity to reject this?
The executive would either veto or sign into legislation.
Right. So I guess what I'm saying is by doing this, the public is going to have the opportunity to weigh in other than in a letter to the editor or, right? Just wanted to explain my reasoning why I wanted to sponsor this and get it on the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to just further explain that, and why that's changed, Tom, is with the two-branch charter form of government is we adopt an introductory local law, then it's a public hearing is held by the executive, and then there's 10-day gap that the county executive can take action whether to approve or veto that. And it's the same way we adopted, this legislature adopted the animal welfare law December 2nd, I think, and tomorrow evening is the public hearing on that here at 7. So then at that point, it hasn't been approved or it hasn't been acted on by the executive yet. So it will go through the same process. But I agree with you, it would be great to hear about these things, but that's what the state law says we have to do.
But it won't come back to us at that point.
Unless it would be vetoed.
Unless it were vetoed. So in essence, if we do vote for it, we're putting it out there. If we vote for it, we're actually
You can rescind it, but that would be the only thing.
But to rescind that, let's go there. To
Okay.
rescind that. Just because we haven't been through this too many times yet. As a new, and I need to understand it. So now, Matt says, yep, stamp, I'm not going to veto it, it's through. There is an opportunity at some point that if we wanted to, you could bring up a resolution
Anytime.
to rescind the local law that you created.
Motion, there's rescinding, there's 3 motions in Robert's rules that you can bring up whenever about whatever topic, and rescinding is one of those. So you could bring it up in January. Let's say this was passed tonight, it's approved by the executive, it could be brought up in January, and it could be brought up in January 2074.
You confirm all that? I mean, you're on board with
I
that?
agree that if in fact the legislature adopts a local law and it's not vetoed and it becomes local law through action of the executive, that the legislature could, with a local law, I would use the word repeal rather than rescind, but the effect is the same. The legislature could repeal it at a later date, short term or long term.
And I guess that's where I'm coming from, is I want to know that there is a way to come back if we needed to, because I'm not necessarily saying that doing this because I'm totally in favor of it. I'm going in a direction that I think I want to go, but I want to actually hear from the public, and this is the only way I can hear from the public.
I'd also just like to throw something in there. When we adopted the budget, we had a line item for a revenue of $370,000, which was, the intention was that revenue would come from the imposition of this tax. I think it's important that we take action on this, whether it passes or fails, that's up to all of us, that we take action, because if this fails, we will then need to, January 1st or whenever our meeting is, have to take action to alter the budget, either take it from contingency or fund balance, or eliminate the revenue and the expense.
However, my question to that would be, why would you have to? Because your budget is just an estimate anyway. You could let your budget run through the year and see what develops from it.
But there's a revenue source. This is creating a revenue source.
Every revenue line item in the budget creates a revenue source, and if we budgeted for inmates in the jail, not to pick on the sheriff, but he's here, and he overestimated,
But there were expenses obligated to those revenues. We would have to make up for that somehow.
If you needed to, by the end of the year.
If this fails,
I'm just saying, I don't think it has to be done January 1st.
it would have to be done before road projects could happen. Certain road projects.
Or we could potentially be spending money we don't have.
Right. We would have to dip into fund balance or contingency.
Which is where you would have to go to
Yes,
fill the gap.
yes, yes. But I'm saying this has a budget implication. Barb was first.
I just want to commend you. One of the biggest things in the city is the infrastructure, which along Clisby, one of the main roads in my area was a concern. So I want to thank you for hearing me on that. So I like the verbiage in this. So I was hesitant along this. I support it. So thank you.
Terry?
Couple things. One is, and maybe this is for the county attorney, is the fee. I heard the radio talk shows and I saw the letters to the editor. You know, they say, well, once you implement this fee, then it'll just keep on going up and up and up. Is there a way, if the fee is to go up, do we have to establish a whole new resolution?
We would have to change it because in the local law, we establish what the rate is. So we would
Okay.
have to amend the.
So it's
local law.
$5 per vehicle per year.
For under 3,500.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things I've been noticing is there's letters to the editor, you know, with the price of gas going down, there's a lot of people suggesting it's the time now to raise the gas tax for infrastructure. That being said, there was a piece, 60 Minutes did a piece about a month ago on the infrastructure, roads and bridges for the country, and we're in sad shape. And obviously there's a real need for it, and I think the question is, how do we fund it? I think we all agree that we have to keep up with our roads and bridges, but the question is, how do we fund it? I believe this is the fairest way, and I will probably support it.
Are there any other questions before I swing it back around? Yep.
I just wanted to make a comment
Yep.
about what you said. Yes, this type of program is in effect in other counties around the state. And with regard to the format of it, you'll notice that it is, as Martin pointed out, a relatively brief amount of text that forms this. There's another template that we had that's also in use, which is much more voluminous and verbose, really. This one that you have before you has been in effect in Broome County for 8 or 9 years now. So being slightly concerned that maybe it didn't contain everything it needed to, I got in touch with the Broome County attorney and discussed it with him, and they've had this format of the vehicle use tax law in effect for that amount of time with absolutely no issues. So, that struck me as an indication that perhaps less is better in terms of the amount of verbiage involved if it's working, and apparently it is.
Any other questions before I go to Legislator White? You're all set. Any other questions, comments? No? Hearing none. Shall we do a roll call vote? Would everyone be?
Won't we just be voting on this formally later in the evening?
Yes.
Okay.
So move it to full board?
Vote. Okay. All those in favor of moving to full board?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? Zero. One objection. Legislator Patel. All right. Moving on. Next is a resolution. Are you set? Next is a resolution authorizing county executive to sign agreement, Office of the Aging. I'll look for a sponsor. Bob? Barb, will second. Discussion? All those in favor of moving to full board?
Aye.
Oppose, abstain, carries. Next is a resolution authorizing county executive to sign agreement with Soil Conservation District. Barb? Terry? Discussion? All those in favor of moving to full board?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, motion carried. Next is a resolution amending the 2014 operating budget. I'll look for a sponsor and a second. Joe? Barb? Discussion?
So we're trading in the safety officer for office furniture?
There-
What office furniture?
We're down to the last few weeks of the year, and the position wasn't filled.
I know.
What do we,
Uh,
I uploaded a memo from Dex 3 that came from the executive in regard to the executive's office and our office. What else was it?
Any other discussion? No? All those in favor of moving to full board?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is a resolution adopting the 2015 to 2020 capital program. I'll look for a sponsor. Barb, a second. Terry, discussion. All those in favor of moving to full board?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is a resolution, a bond resolution of the County of Montgomery, New York, the county, dated December 16, 2014, authorizing the construction of a new wing for the public safety facility of the county, estimating the aggregate cost thereof to be $3.5 million, appropriating said amount therefore and authorizing issuance of $3.5 million serial bond of the county to finance said cost. I'll look for a sponsor. Tom, I'll look for a second. Joe, discussion. Tom.
I'm going to support this. We've been talking about this on the Capital Projects Committee for a while. We've been talking about for years our antiquated annex building. It's time the county moves forward. I firmly believe that we need to invest in the county. This is how we're going to do it. We're in a building over there now that's just continually costing us, you know, we're jumping over dollars to pick up nickels. I mean, it's ludicrous. The quicker that we can get out of there, and this is going to be the first step in the direction to do that. So I'm wholeheartedly on board with this tonight, and we hope we can move it forward.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of moving to full board?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Next is a resolution, a bond resolution of the County of Montgomery, New York, the county, dated December 16, 2014, authorizing acquisition of new emergency radio system for the county, estimating the aggregate cost thereof to be $2.8 million, appropriating said amount therefore and authorizing issuance of $2.8 million serial bond of the county to finance said cost. I'll look for a sponsor. Joe, Barb. Any discussion? Joe?
Jeff made a very good presentation last time that he was here. I've talked to a lot of people in the fire departments and whatever, and they're working with equipment that is inferior. This will establish a countywide, it's countywide, Jeff?
Yes, sir.
Communication system for our police department. It'll be just fire or all emergency management?
All police, fire, and EMS.
And they'll all be low band, we're going to be moving off the high band?
Just the opposite, from low band to high.
Sorry about that.
You're the radio guy. Come on, Joe.
Okay. All right, very, very good. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Tom?
And I think tying right into this, and we have an email from the sheriff, right? Doesn't it? No?
Different project.
Different project? All right, guess not. Thought I was tying into it, but I still support it.
All right, any other questions? Terry?
I just want to say, yes, this is long overdue. It's unreal to think that the fire departments can't communicate to each other, so this is long overdue.
Any other? Joe?
We seem to be prone to a lot more emergencies lately than we were used to here in this county. And I think it's something we really have to do. For the safety of the citizens.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of moving to full board?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Any other items to come before the committee? Hearing none, I'll look for a motion to adjourn. Barb? Tom? Motion adjourned. Pick up my stuff.